42-10. There's no sugarcoating this game. We got absolutely beat. We had the brakes beat off of us. And when you look at the stats, that really tells the story of the game. And we really, we were outmatched. We were outplayed. They had more talent than we did. Our defense did pretty well up until they couldn't any longer because they stayed on the field too long. But I guess the best way to talk about this is let's go through some of the stats. We can talk about how some of the players did individually as a team. But I'm just going to give you my thoughts on this game. This is right after the game ended, and obviously it was incredibly disappointing, even worse than I thought it would be. Georgia covered the spread, which I thought 30-point spread. There's no way they're going to cover this, and sure enough, I was wrong. I was wrong about that. And so, looking at first downs, Auburn had 10 to Georgia's 21. For total yards, 258 yards for Auburn. That's it. To Georgia's 500. 500 yards. I mean, they had almost double the yardage that we did. If we go down to rushing, our rushing game was shut down. We had 93 yards to Georgia's 292. They had almost triple the amount of rushing yards that we did. For passing, 165 yards to 208. Pretty similar, pretty close, but it doesn't matter when you look at the overall picture. When you look at the overall picture of everything. Sorry, my dog's being a punk over here. Love you, Max. And then the penalties, I think I mentioned 10 penalties for 60 yards, 4 penalties for Georgia for 45. So penalties hurt us quite a bit. And then the time of possession, 24 minutes to Georgia's 35. So that's a quick breakdown of the stats, and you can see that our rushing game is virtually gone. It's virtually non-existent, and that's been for the past few games. And I don't see this changing. We've got some games on our schedule that look a little more winnable than they did. Like Arkansas looks like a winnable game or a more winnable game. Ole Miss looks a little more winnable than it did. But as a team, I think we've lost our identity. We've lost our identity on offense especially. I know that the coaches and players had to adjust when we had a new quarterback style with Robbie Ashford, and I think they've tried to do that. But ultimately, when you've got an offensive line that is just Swiss cheese, just letting everything through, I can't get over how bad the offensive line play is, and I don't want to hear anybody sugarcoating it and making it sound like it's better, because it's not. It's terrible. And that the offensive line play is making it where a lot of our offense falls apart. Tank can't get anything done. I think he ended up being the 3rd or 4th leading rusher. Let me look back at that. He was the 3rd leading rusher with only 19 yards on 10 carries. Guys, that's terrible. 19 yards on 10 carries. That's how we're utilizing Tank Bigsby. That alone should make you mad, but our leading rusher was Robbie Ashford. I have concerns if our quarterback is our leading rusher in the offense that we're seeing. We've had it in the past where we've had our, like Cam Newton, Nick Marshall. I'm sure they were leading rushers at the time or close to it. But that was a whole different thing. We had an offense that was more complete, more put together, and I'm not seeing that now at all. And I'm not seeing improvements. Yeah, we looked a little better last week versus LSU, but we're really not looking great for the most part. And at this point, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. Our defense looks good. And that's hard to say when we gave up 42 points. But they looked good up until a point. And then once they got stretched enough, they broke. And once that dam broke, the points just started getting racked up on the scoreboard. They can only do so much. And the offense was not helping them out. And so because our offense is so bad, they're so bad at scoring points, they're so bad at keeping the offense on the field, it's stressing out our defense, it's overloading our defense, and that's where you see these games where the score is just getting run up on us. And I don't even know what to say at this point. I mean, we knew we were going to lose this one, but did anybody really think we were going to lose by 32 points? I honestly did not. I thought we'd lose. I did not think it would be by 32 points. Like I said, the one bright spot is we scored 10 points in the second half. Awesome. But what now? 42-10, is that what we want to say is acceptable as Auburn fans or as a team or whatever? I don't think it is. And at some point you have to look at what the common denominators are. What's causing this? Is it our offensive coordinator? Is it the players? Is it the recruiting? Are we not getting enough talent on the team? Is it the head coach? There's a lot of things you can look at, but ultimately it's got to fall somewhere, and everything typically falls to the top with, in this case, Brian Harsin. And if you've been watching Auburn football for a while, are you happy with the team you see on the field? Is this what you want to see week to week? Do you want to see these games where they just struggle to score points? And this is not a knock on Robbie Ashford or anything like that, so don't take that out. Is it a knock on the offensive line? Yeah, it is. Not the individual players, but the unit as a whole, and probably more so on the offensive line coach more than anybody. But what we see out there week in and week out is just not acceptable in a Power 5 program, much less an SEC West school. And you have to ask yourself, how much longer is this acceptable? How much longer is the play that you saw today? You saw it today just like I did. How much longer is that type of play okay with you? Do you want to continue to see this every single game the rest of the season? Maybe so. Do you want to see this going into next season? You want another year of the Boise State offense going into next season? Maybe you do. All I know is that I'm kind of tired of looking at what we saw on the field. It's hard to watch. I would almost rather have an offense that can put up points consistently all the time, think like Mississippi State, than I would if I had to pick offense or defense. I'd pick the offense because at least it's exciting to watch. It'd be frustrating if you're getting scored on all the time. But look, we had 42 points scored on us already. So I would much rather have a prolific offense than defense. That's just me. And some of you may disagree, but the problem is if you can't score points, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. Doesn't matter at all. And that's evidence. We're seeing that evidence on the field every single week. It does not matter how good your defense is. If your offense can't score points, your defense is going to get tired and they're going to score points anyway. So the number one thing we need some offense. We need an offensive line that is competent and can keep the players out of the backfield. Because when I see these plays where you have an offensive lineman turn this way blocking somebody and somebody just runs right by them and they don't even turn and look at them, I mean, what is that about? And it was just like play after play, we just had weird stuff like that happen with our offensive line. And I know we've had injuries and that kind of stuff. I get it. But we've got to prepare these guys, and we should be more than one layer deep. So, as far as, I mean, I expect the loss today, but ultimately, this is just kind of sad to watch. It's not fun anymore, honestly. I'm still going to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to watch because I love Auburn. But the fun is being taken out of it. And like I said, I'm not blaming the players. I blame the coaches. Just like I did last week. This is a coaching problem. The problem is, do we have a coaching solution? If you do, let me know in the comments. But that's all I got this week because that's really all I want to talk about this game. Thank you guys for watching, and War Eagle.